Dinosaurs is a sitcom thought up by Jim Henson, which aired in 1991 on Disney's ABC network. The show is initially set in the year 60 million BC and centers on the Sinclair family, a reference to Sinclair Oil Corporation, which uses a dinosaur as its logo. The main character, Father Earl Sinclair, is a reference to Harry F. Sinclair and Earl Holding, Sinclair Oil's principal owner since the 1970s. Harry Sinclair was a sportsman and industrialist who was also involved in the famous Teapot Dome scandal. The Scoto-Norman surname Sinclair comes from the clan Sinclair, whose progenitors conquered England with William the Conqueror and then moved to Scotland and were given the land of Roslin Midlothian by the King of Scotland. It is there the St. Clairs or Sinclairs built Roslin Chapel 150 years after the supposed disbanding of the Knights Templar in 1312. The layout of Roslin Chapel echoes Solomon's Temple from the Bible and is said to contain the Holy Grail, the Templar treasure, and the Templar secrets. The Knights Templar are said to have evolved into the Freemasons of modern day. The name Earl Sinclair is also a reference to the Earls of St. Clair, which came from this bloodline. Harry F. Sinclair, the founder of Sinclair Oil Corporation, is from the direct bloodline of the aristocratic Earls of St. Clair. Another strange connection from the Dinosaurs sitcom is that the grandmother dinosaur's name was Ethel Phillips, a reference to Phillips Petroleum or ConocoPhillips and Ethel Gasoline. Earl's job is to push over trees for the We Say So Corporation, alluding to the fact that petroleum comes from compressed trees and other organic matter like dead dinosaurs, keeping with the petroleum theme of the show. He works alongside his friend and co-worker Roy Hess. Hess Corporation is another regional petroleum chain. Another reference to petroleum companies is Earl's boss, named BP Richfield, alluding to British Petroleum, now well known for orchestrating the greatest environmental catastrophe of all time, and Atlantic Richfield, the original name of Arco. Oddly, if you see things in a different perspective, Arco's logo looks like a pyramid from the top view with its capstone missing, similar to the pyramid on the back of the American $1 bill. British Petroleum is owned by Dutch Royal Shell, as in the British royal family, which some conspiracy researchers claim is from the Reptilian Anunnaki bloodline. Also a funny note is that Earl's employer, the We Say So Corporation, uses a logo quite similar to DuPont Chemicals' traditional oval-shaped logo. ABC's Dinosaurs sitcom is awash with reptilian symbolism as well as other signs that allude to the global elite and their corporate control over the world and its resources. The fact is, there are many TV shows, movies, books, and games that make references to the reptilians and their existence on or within our planet. Here are some more examples of reptilian references within popular culture. Enoch is the intelligent, peaceful reptilian creature featured in the sci-fi adventure The Land of the Lost from General Electric's NBC network, airing from 1974 to 1977. Enoch fell through a time warp portal into a prehistoric landscape which he discovered was his own future, a future where his fellow race of Sleestaks have reverted into bow and arrow wielding primitives. With the realization that some past event would revert his people to savagery, he spent his days trying to get back to his own time and warn his race of their impending destiny. When the savage reptilian Sleestaks spoke, they hissed and slobbered. During the making of this film, the researchers also noticed that Enoch is an anagram for Enki, one of the original Anunnaki gods from the Sumerian texts. The main characters of the show, the Marshall family, entered the land of the lost when they were boating along the Colorado River and fell over a waterfall that was actually a time portal into a prehistoric world filled with dinosaurs and strange reptilians. This story is oddly similar to G.E. Kincaid's adventure on the mighty Colorado, which led him to discover an inner Earth world within the Grand Canyon. A movie version of this popular show starring Will Ferrell was released 3 years ago. In the movie Enemy Mine, Dennis Quaid's character gets stuck on a remote planet where he befriends a strange reptilian character called Drac, played by Lou Gossett Jr. The popular sci-fi series called V, which stood for Visitors, aired during the 1980s. The show is about an outwardly peaceful, but ultimately evil race of reptilians who seem to suddenly appear over the Earth in their spaceships, attempting to integrate with mankind. To the people on Earth, these aliens actually look like fellow humans, but it is really a disguise that hides their reptilian appearance. In the end, the few people that know the truth about the visitors realize these beings have been here on the planet for thousands of years, and their staged arrival is merely a final step in their plot to take over the planet. The V-Saga resurfaced again in 2009 on ABC with a new take on the old story of aliens taking over the world, and yes, they are still reptilian. There's a kind of corny but still relevant John Carpenter movie from the 80s called They Live. The film's characters aren't really reptilian looking, however, they do hide in human form and secretly control the world just like in V. The aliens assume the highest positions of power, much like David Icke's theories put forth in his books. These aliens work and live in underground bases, and the movie even shows an inner Earth galaxy, alluding to old hollow Earth theories about a solar system within the planet and the notion of interdimensional travel. It goes without saying that there are a lot of reptilians in the sci-fi culture. We have from Doctor Who, Kriz, there's also the Draconians, and Homo Reptilia. There's the Silurians. You also got from the show Doctor Who, Borax, the reptilian archaeologists. There's also the Terral Reptile, another strange reptilian. Once again from Doctor Who, there's the Robo-Reptilian Ice Warriors. From the series Star Trek, we got the Cardassians, a character named Gorn. Also from Star Trek, you can find the strangely reptilian race, Jem'Hadar. There's also the very reptilian-looking Voth from Star Trek Voyager. We found from the Star Trek Voyager, you have strange creatures called the repto-humanoids, and the reptilian race known as the Xindi, the Narn from Babylon 5. Also, there are the Drazi aliens. There is a fierce reptilian race from the Stargate television series called the Unas. There's also the Scarans from Farscape, and there's also a sinister reptilian race from Battlestar Galactica. There are characters called Trandashans from Star Wars. A major Trandashan character from the Star Wars movie was that of Bosk. In the sci-fi comedy Galaxy Quest, the main villain is the evil General Saris, who looks very reptilian. In 1999, there was a short-lived series on TV called The Lost World that was based on Arthur Conan Doyle's book, in which the explorers of the Lost World came across not only dinosaurs, but primitive reptilian humanoids. There was a brief TV series in the late 90s called Tarzan, The Epic Adventures. In 2 episodes, Kukulkan Khan and the Scarlet Diamond, Tarzan battles with reptilian humanoids. A few years ago, a total B-movie starring Daniel Baldwin was released titled Anonymous Rex. The storyline revolves around the idea that the dinosaurs never disappeared and instead went underground long ago. Over time, they reintegrated into society after humans evolved into our current state. The dinosaur creatures are disguised as humans with the aid of holograms. The sci-fi horror film from 1959 called The Alligator People, starring Lon Chaney. The film is about a mad scientist who mixes manipulated alligator genes with humans, creating strange reptilian humanoids. There's the 80s cult classic, another sci-fi horror starring Roddy Piper, called Hell Comes to Frogtown. When a sinister race of frog-faced reptoid aliens come to Earth, Roddy Piper's character has to kick some alien ass, just like in They Live. Hunter S. Thompson makes a reference to reptile people in his classic book Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Upon entering the bar at a Las Vegas hotel while on LSD, the character sees everyone in the bar turn into lizards. David Icke also wrote of how he spoke to a man who was tripping on LSD for extended periods back in the day. After tripping on acid for so long, he began to see people change into reptiles. But not just anybody, only certain people and always the same people. These were usually people in positions of power. In the hilarious 70s classic, Cheech and Chong's Nice Dreams, the comedy duo's pot supply gets raided by the local police. One detective, played by Stacy Keach, smokes all of the confiscated stash. After smoking a massive amount of the cosmic weed, the detective turns into a lizard. Another example is the 1966 horror film called The Reptile. In the film, a lady is changed into a human lizard after being cursed by a serpent-worshipping cult. In the film Dreamscape from the 1980s, the main evil villain from the film turns into a snake man. And who can forget the creature from the Black Lagoon, the amphibious reptoid that terrorizes anyone that it comes across.